Hey, this is Matt Wenning at winningstrength.com, and today we're going to talk about old and new. And what I mean by old and new is old and new in cars, right? And so let's get to it. So as you guys may or may not know, I am redoing an entire 1970 Charger RT. Now, for those of you that are muscle car guys, it's probably one of the most coveted muscle cars that you can buy. The 68 or second gen 68 to 70 Charger is probably one of the most iconic cars that you could ever have. I mean, the taillights, the headlights, the body structure, the body lines. I mean, that car is just amazing, and that's why it was used in Fast and Furious. It was used in Dukes of Hazzard. It was used in the movie Bullet that made the Mustang famous. The bad guy drove a Charger. Point is that Charger's been used in a lot of different shit. But what you find is that it's funny because this car, when I bought it, was a 440 Magnum. And now, for those of you who don't know, the 440 Magnum was the biggest engine you could buy from Mopar for a muscle car at that time. This engine was a damn boat anchor. It was that wide. It was that tall. I mean, it's just a monster of an engine. And right before we pull it all apart, because I'm doing a swap for a new school engine, a new school Hellcat Hemi motor, we go out and I'm like, I'm going to beat on this motor. I want to see what it can do. Because, you know, you hear about the old timers, oh, back in my day, this muscle car, blah, blah, blah. Well, this is a 440 Magnum 4-speed with a 410 rear gear. This thing, back in the day, this would have been in 1970, would have been a very hard car to beat on the street, right? So we go out and I'm cruise it in first, cruise it in second. It's a carbureted car, so it's a little bit temperamental, and you know, you give it gas and that acts a little funky every once in a while, but you know, once it gets warmed up and gets running, it's good. So we finally get it warmed up in a couple of miles, and it's warmed up good. So I got it in first gear and I just fucking lay into it. Shift it into second, hammer to third, hammer to fourth. Now remember, it's a 410 rear gear, so when I hit fourth gear, I'm only doing 65 miles an hour, and it's tacking. It's like 4,000 RPM, just whoa, at like 65. And I'm just like, where is this thing? What are we going to do with this thing, right? But the funny part is that old school motor had a fraction of the power that my new 3.5 liter V6 Raptor has. Just unbelievable the amount of technology that's moved. And a lot of that's come from timing, fuel, turbos, you know, all these other things, and just better airflow. So an engine really works in the fact that it brings air and fuel in, explodes, and it gets it out. Old engines were not really good about getting things in and getting things out. They were inefficient. And that's why a 440 Magnum, which is a monster engine, you know, you're looking at a 7.3 to 7.4 liter engine, it just doesn't breathe well. Now, there's a lot of things you can do to the old motors to make them faster. You can put headers on them, or you can put a bigger carburetor on them. But at the end of the day, as far as competing with the new style engines, it's not even close. So for example, we're getting ready to put a 6.2 liter V8 in it, which is 1.2 liters smaller, so 1200 cc smaller engine, which is considerable. Now it does have a supercharger on it, and that engine will literally make, by the time we get done tuning it, double the power. Now this is what's even crazier. It will make double the power, but it will also get almost double the gas mileage. And that's what's just crazy, and that's where you start realizing the technology, you know. So you hear a lot of the old timers talking about, oh, back in my day, this car was this and this car was that. I'm telling you right now, I have had the baddest old school muscle car that you can build Mopar with the best gear ratio and the best transmission, and it won't even beat my truck. Like, and, you know, so the old timers saying that stuff's fast is just, it's funny. Now, you could take a 440 and put a blower on it, and the problem is that when you do that to the old school motors, you're not going to have any power. You're not going to have any dependability. And that's the problem, is old school motors will make power, but they won't make dependability. And that's why you see a lot of this new retro stuff really becoming super popular. So the 1970 Charger is going to have a 2019 Hellcat entire drivetrain. 8-speed transmission. It's going to have fuel injection. It's going to have proper computer timing. And you're going to be sitting over 800 horsepower with 20 miles a gallon. So again, it's just, you know, just some background stuff. I think it's really cool. I mean, cars are awesome. Another thing that you start realizing is like metals. We were just talking about this is, you know, well, new metal to old metal, and you can see the differences in how well the new metal will take welding and will take fabrication, whereas the old metal tends to be a little bit more finicky. You know, it just doesn't weld as good. So even the fabrication of newer cars has gotten better, even though the old timers would say that the old stuff's built better. In reality, I'm not so sure. Hopefully that gave you guys a little bit of information and makes it cool, and we'll try to get some videos out of the Charger.